The letter trembled in my hands, its yellowed edges worn soft from years of being hidden away. My grandparents' familiar handwriting blurred as tears welled in my eyes. The trust fund they'd set up for my education, nearly $500,000, had never reached me. Instead, I'd spent the last 2 years working at my parents' porcelain factory, my dreams of art school gathering dust like the china we sold. I heard the click of my mother's heels on the hardwood floor before she appeared in the doorway of her home office. "Lila, what are you doing in here?" "Looking for the truth," I said, holding up the letter. "How long were you planning to keep this from me?" Her perfectly painted lips tightened. "You shouldn't be going through private papers." "Private?" This letter was addressed to me. My voice cracked. From Grandma and Grandpa Harper. Before they died. She crossed the room in 3 quick strides, reaching for the paper. I pulled it away, backing up against the mahogany desk. "You're being dramatic," she said, smoothing her silk blouse. "Your father and I made the best decision for the family. The business needed." "The business?" I laughed, but it came out hollow. "You mean the business that Desmond gets to run while I inventory teacups? Your brother has been groomed for that position since he was born with the right chromosomes?" The sharp crack of her palm hitting the desk made me jump. "That's enough. We gave you a position suited to your capabilities. You should be grateful." My father's heavy footsteps approached. "What's all this commotion?" "She found the Harper letter," my mother said, her voice tight. He paused in the doorway, his face darkening. "I see. Did you think I'd never find out?" I asked. "That I'd just keep playing the good daughter forever?" "We did what was necessary," he said. "The company was struggling. That money saved jobs, including yours." "It wasn't yours to take." The words burst out of me. "You stole my future." "We secured your future," my mother snapped. "This ridiculous dream of becoming an artist. We protected you from yourself." I looked between them. These strangers wearing my parents' faces. "Protected me? You betrayed me. Both of you." "That's enough," my father growled. "You will not speak to us this way. We are your parents." "Parents don't steal from their children." I folded the letter carefully, tucking it into my pocket. "I'm calling Grandma Eloise." "Don't you dare involve her in this," my mother warned. "Why not?" "Afraid she'll tell me what else you've been hiding." My father stepped forward. "Lila, if you walk out that door." "You'll what?" "Take something else from me." I grabbed my purse from the chair. "There's nothing left to take." As I headed for the door, my mother called out, "Think about what you're doing. You have responsibilities here." I turned back one last time. "You're right. I do have responsibilities to myself, to Grandma and Grandpa's memory, and to the truth. I'm done letting you bury all 3. The door slammed behind me with a satisfying bang. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone and dialed my grandmother's number. The trust fund wasn't just about money. It was about choices, dreams, and the future my grandparents had wanted for me. A future my parents had stolen. As I waited for Grandma Eloise to answer, I watched the sunset paint the sky in fierce oranges and reds. Something inside me had shifted, hardened. My parents thought they'd buried my dreams along with that letter. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Grandma Eloise's kitchen smelled like cinnamon and possibility. 2 weeks had passed since I'd left my parents' house, and for the first time, I could breathe. I watched her roll out cookie dough, her hands steady despite her age. "Your art school application arrived this morning," she said, cutting perfect circles with a biscuit cutter. "It's sitting on your desk upstairs." My heart skipped. I didn't think they'd respond so quickly. The universe has a way of moving when you're ready. She paused, flour dusting her apron. "Your brother called again." I focused on arranging cookies on the baking sheet. "What did Desmond want?" "To make sure you're okay. He's worried about you." "He's had 20 years to worry about me. Funny how he starts now." The doorbell rang, and my grandmother wiped her hands. "That'll be him." "What?" "I invited him for tea." She headed toward the door, leaving me standing there with flour-covered hands and a racing pulse. Desmond filled the doorway like he filled every room he entered, with practiced confidence and our father's expectations. But today, something was different. His usual pristine suit was wrinkled, his tie loose. "Hey, Lils," he said, using my childhood nickname. "Don't." I turned back to the cookies. "You don't get to pretend nothing's changed." He sighed, dropping into a kitchen chair. "I didn't know about the trust fund."
"Right.
Because you were too busy being the golden child to notice what they were doing to me. That's not fair. Fair. I spun around. Was it fair when they made me work overtime at the factory while you got promoted to management? Or when they used my college fund to expand your division? Grandma Eloise set 3 teacups on the table. Perhaps we should all sit down. I can't stay long, Desmond said. Dad's called an emergency board meeting. Of course he has. I laughed bitterly. Let me guess, they're restructuring my department? His silence was answer enough. They're trying to force you back, he finally said. Dad's convinced if he makes things difficult enough, you'll come home. That's not home anymore. I sat down, wrapping my hands around the warm teacup. It's a prison with prettier walls. They want to announce my promotion to CEO next month. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Dad's retiring early. Congratulations, I said flatly. The crown prince gets his throne. Lila, Grandma warned. No, she's right. Desmond ran a hand through his hair. I've been blind, but things are changing. Fiona, she's helped me see things differently. Your girlfriend? I remembered the quiet, sharp-eyed woman I'd met at last year's company gala. Fiancé, actually. As of last night. He pulled out his phone, showing me a photo. She said yes, but she also said some things about how our family operates that I can't unhear. The timer dinged, and Grandma retrieved the cookies. The sweet smell filled the kitchen, reminding me of simpler times. I have to go, Desmond stood. But Lila, I want you to know I'm going to fix this. Starting with reinstating your position with a promotion. I don't want anything from the company anymore, I said. I'm applying to art school. That's my future now. He nodded slowly. Then I'll help with that instead. Whatever you need. After he left, I helped Grandma plate the cookies. Do you believe him? I asked. She smiled, wise eyes twinkling. I believe people can surprise us when we give them the chance. But more importantly, I believe in you, dear heart. Your parents may have tried to clip your wings, but they forgot one thing. What's that? You're a Harper woman too. And we don't break, we soar. I picked up my art school application from upstairs, running my fingers over the embossed letterhead. Maybe it was time to show everyone exactly how high I could fly. The acceptance letter from the Art Institute lay on my desk like a beacon of hope, but my mother's voice on the phone threatened to extinguish it. The Caldwells are joining us for dinner tomorrow night. James specifically asked about you. My paintbrush stilled over the canvas. James Caldwell, heir to our biggest competitor and my parents' idea of a perfect match. I'm not interested in being auctioned off to save the company. Don't be dramatic, Lila. James is a perfectly suitable. I got accepted to art school. The words burst out before I could stop them. Full scholarship. The silence stretched like pulled taffy. Your father will be very disappointed. Add it to the list. I hung up, my hand shaking as I set down the phone. Fiona appeared in my doorway, 2 mugs of tea in hand. She'd been visiting more often since Desmond's promotion, and I'd grown to appreciate her quiet wisdom. Bad news. They're trying to marry me off to James Caldwell. She settled into my reading chair. The merger makes sense. Your parents' company is struggling, and the Caldwells have the capital to save it. I'm not a business asset to be traded. No, she agreed. You're not. But your mother's desperate. I overheard Desmond talking about the company's finances. They're worse than anyone knows. My brush moved across the canvas again, angry strokes of red and black. That doesn't make it right. Of course not. But understanding your enemy's desperation can be useful. The doorbell rang downstairs. Grandma's voice floated up, followed by familiar footsteps. My father appeared in the doorway, his presence filling the room like smoke. Hello, Fiona, he said coolly. Would you give us a moment? She squeezed my shoulder as she left, a silent show of support. The Art Institute. He held up my acceptance letter. This was delivered to the house. You open my mail? We're still your parents, regardless of your current situation. He placed the letter on my desk. This ends now. You'll come to dinner tomorrow, meet James properly, and we'll discuss your future with the company. I turned to face him fully. No. This isn't a request. You're right, it's not. It's my life, my choice, and I choose art school. His face hardened. If you persist with this rebellion, there will be consequences. The trust fund your grandparents left. The one you stole? I laughed bitterly. Go ahead, threaten me. I don't need your money anymore. I earned this scholarship myself. You ungrateful. He stopped, composing himself. Your mother and I have sacrificed everything for this family's legacy. You owe us. I owe you nothing. I picked up my acceptance letter. You taught me exactly what family means to you when you stole my future. Now I'm taking it back. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock. He moved toward the door. Don't disappoint us again. After he left, Fiona returned. You okay? I looked at my painting, a shattered porcelain tea set, pieces scattered across a dark background. I will be, but I need your help with something. Name it. Tomorrow night, I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of people my parents are. Will you help me? She smiled, a glint of steel in her eyes. Desmond was right about you. You're not just talented, you're dangerous when pushed too far. I turned back to my canvas, adding a final streak of crimson. They wanted me to be the perfect daughter. Instead, they created their worst nightmare. 7 o'clock tomorrow, Fiona said, raising her tea in a mock toast. Should be quite the dinner party. I nodded, already planning. My parents wanted to use me to save their precious legacy. They were about to learn exactly how that felt. The email from Artisan Design Studio glowed on my screen like a lifeline. Their internship offer was everything I dreamed of: creative freedom, mentorship, and a path away from my family's suffocating legacy. I was drafting my acceptance when Desmond burst into my room at Grandma's house, his face ashen. They're selling your division, he said, dropping into my chair. The entire decorative arts department. My fingers stilled over the keyboard. What about the artists? The craftspeople? Laid off. All of them. He loosened his tie. Dad's spinning it as strategic restructuring, but it's punishment. For you. 30 people losing their jobs because I wouldn't play dress up with James Caldwell? The familiar taste of bile rose in my throat. When? End of the month. Unless I come back. The words felt like ashes in my mouth. There's more. He pulled out his phone, showing me an email. They're using the proceeds from the sale to fund a scholarship program. In your name. I laughed, sharp and hollow. Let me guess, for business students only? It's clever, really. They get to look generous while erasing everything you care about. My cursor blinked over the internship acceptance email. 30 families. 30 lives upended because I dared to want something different. Don't. Fiona appeared in the doorway, her voice firm. This is exactly what they want, to make you responsible for their choices. Those people trusted me, I said. Some have worked there for decades. And your parents are using that trust as a weapon. She sat on my bed. You can't save them by destroying yourself. Desmond stood, pacing. Maybe there's another way. The board meeting next week, if we could prove the division is profitable. It won't matter, I said, remembering my father's face at dinner. This isn't about money. It's about control. My phone buzzed, a text from Marcus, my old mentor from the decorative arts department. Emergency meeting called. Your father's here with security. They're clearing out our studios now. The room tilted. Not next month now. They weren't even giving people time to pack up their work. I have to go. I grabbed my keys. Lila, wait. Desmond reached for my arm.
No.
I pulled away. You wanted to help? This is your chance. Come with me. The drive to the factory was silent, heavy with decision. When we arrived, security guards were escorting shell-shocked artists from the building. Marcus stood in the parking lot, holding a box of brushes and half-finished pieces. I'm so sorry, I started, but he shook his head. Don't apologize for them. Ever. He pressed something into my hand, a small porcelain figure, one I'd painted years ago. Remember who you are, not who they want you to be. Through the factory windows, I saw my father watching, his expression triumphant. Beside me, Desmond's phone chimed with another email. They're announcing my promotion tomorrow, he said quietly. CEO, effective immediately. I clutched the porcelain figure, feeling its delicate edges. Congratulations. The Crown Prince gets his reward for staying silent. Lila.
No.
I turned to face him. You have to choose, Desmond. Right now. Are you their son, or are you my brother? He looked between me and the factory, 24 years of conditioning warring with conscience. Finally, he pulled out his phone and dialed. Father? About tomorrow's announcement. We need to talk. I opened my laptop in the car, my hands steady as I clicked send on my internship acceptance. Some things, once broken, can't be fixed. But they can be remade into something stronger, something truer. Just like porcelain in fire. My first gallery showing should have been a triumph. Instead, I stood in the corner of Artisan Design Studio's exhibition space, watching my mother charm potential buyers while my father worked the room. They'd arrived uninvited, armed with social connections and practiced smiles. Your technique is remarkable, a curator said, studying my centerpiece, a shattered porcelain vase, its pieces suspended in resin. Each fragment painted with scenes from my family's factory. The juxtaposition of destruction and preservation is quite powerful. Thank you, I started, but my mother materialized beside us. Lila learned everything at our family's company, she said smoothly. The merit legacy of fine porcelain spans generations. The curator's eyes lit with recognition. Merit porcelain? I didn't realize. Excuse us, I cut in, pulling my mother aside. What are you doing here? Supporting our daughter's artistic debut, of course. She sipped champagne, perfectly poised. Your father and I are very proud. Proud? You destroyed an entire division to punish me. Business decisions are complicated, dear. But we're willing to let bygones be bygones. In fact, we have wonderful news. The board has approved a new artistic direction for the company. Under your leadership. My stomach dropped. What? Creative director of design. Full autonomy, generous salary, and will fund a proper studio. Her smile was razor-sharp. All those artists you're so concerned about? You could rehire them. Before I could respond, Desmond appeared, Fiona beside him. Don't do it, Lils. There's something you need to see. He handed me his phone. On the screen was a contract. My parents had already registered trademarks for my artistic signature, my exhibition titles, even the distinctive style I developed at Artisan. They filed these last week, Fiona said quietly. If you take their offer, everything you create will belong to Merit Porcelain. Insurance, my father said, joining us. The company must protect its investments. I looked around the gallery, at my work, my vision, my truth laid bare on these walls. You're not here to support me. You're here to own me. We're here to bring you home, my mother corrected. Where you belong. Those artists trusted me, I said. Their families can be provided for, my father finished. Under the right circumstances. The curator approached again, but stopped short, sensing the tension. Other guests were starting to notice, conversations dying as they watched our family drama unfold. Time to decide, Lila, my father said. Family or fantasy? I walked to my centerpiece, touching the smooth resin surface. Inside, the broken porcelain told stories of tradition twisted into control, of beauty born from destruction, of truth hidden in plain sight. You know what I realized? I said, turning to face them. You never wanted me to succeed. You wanted me to need you. Don't be ridiculous. But I don't. And I can prove it. I pulled out my phone, dialing Marcus's number on speaker. It's time. We're ready, he answered. All of us. My mother's champagne glass rose halfway to her lips. What's this? Remember those artists you fired? They're opening their own studio. With me. I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in months. Turns out talent doesn't need your name attached to it. You can't, my father started. Actually, I can. And one more thing. I nodded to Desmond, who stepped forward. I resign as CEO, he announced. Effective immediately. The gallery erupted in whispers. My mother's perfect mask cracked, just slightly. You ungrateful. No. I cut her off. We're not ungrateful. We're free. I walked away from my shattered vase, leaving my parents standing beside the pieces of their carefully constructed control. Sometimes I realized the most powerful art isn't what you create. It's what you refuse to let others destroy. The engagement party invitation felt like a loaded gun in my hands. Desmond and Fiona's names were embossed in gold, but my parents' fingerprints were all over it. The venue, our family's estate. The date, exactly 1 month after they'd shut down my artist studio before it could even open. You don't have to go, Grandma Eloise said, watching me from her kitchen doorway. Actually, I do. I showed her the newspaper clipping Fiona had secretly sent me. Tomorrow's announcement. Merit Porcelain to establish charitable foundation using recovered trust fund assets. My trust fund. The one they'd stolen twice now. They're going to announce it at the party, I said. Use my money to make themselves look generous while my artists struggle to pay rent. The doorbell rang. Marcus stood outside, looking older than he had a month ago. They served us cease and desist letters this morning. Your father's lawyers say we can't use any techniques learned at Merit Porcelain. That's ridiculous. It's effective. He handed me the legal documents. No one can afford to fight this. We're done, Lila. I watched him walk away, shoulders bent under the weight of another dream destroyed. My phone buzzed. Desmond. Tell me you're not involved in this, I answered. I tried to stop them, he said. But they're using the engagement party to announce the foundation. Everyone who matters will be there. Including the artists they destroyed? His silence was answer enough. I'll be there, I said. But not for the reasons they expect. The night of the party, I arrived early, slipping into my father's study through the garden entrance. The foundation paperwork lay on his desk, everything documented, legally bulletproof. They'd learned from their first theft. Looking for something? I spun around. My mother stood in the doorway, elegant in midnight blue. How long have you been planning this? I asked. Since you tried to start that ridiculous studio. She stepped closer. Did you really think we'd let you destroy generations of tradition with your artistic rebellion? Those people trusted me. Those people were beneath you. We simply helped you remember your place. She smiled, cold and precise. The foundation announcement will fix everything. The press will love it. The prodigal daughter's inheritance used to benefit the community. It's not yours to use. No. She pulled out her phone, showing me photos, my artists accepting checks, signing documents. Amazing what people will agree to when they're desperate. They've all signed away their rights. Your little revolution is over. The room spun. Every move I'd made, they'd countered. Every person I'd tried to help, they'd bought or broken. Face it, darling, she said, straightening my collar with false tenderness. You can't beat us at this game. We invented it. Voices drifted up from the garden. Guests arriving, champagne flowing. Soon they'd all gather to celebrate love and generosity, never seeing the strings controlling every moment. The announcement is in 30 minutes, my mother said. Be there. Smile. Show everyone what a united family we are. She paused at the door. Oh, and Lila? That art school acceptance you're so proud of? Board members' children get priority. Shame about next semester's funding cuts. She left me standing in my father's study, surrounded by evidence of their perfect plan. They'd taken everything, my inheritance, my artists, my future. Even Desmond's engagement had become another weapon in their arsenal. I picked up a crystal paperweight from my father's desk, feeling its familiar weight. One throw could shatter the window, crack their perfect facade. But that's what they expected: rage, rebellion, something they could control. Maybe it was time to play a different game entirely. The engagement parties sparkled with calculated perfection. Crystal glasses clinked, society photographers circled, and my mother presided over it all like a queen at court. I watched from the garden's edge as my father took the stage, tapping his glass for attention. Before we celebrate Desmond and Fiona's union, he began, we have another announcement. Fiona caught my eye across the crowd, giving a slight nod. My phone buzzed, a message from Marcus. We're here. Merit Porcelain has always believed in giving back, my father continued. Today, we're proud to announce the establishment of the Lila Merit Foundation for the Arts. Gasps and applause rippled through the crowd. I stepped forward, my voice cutting through the noise. How generous of you to give away something that isn't yours. The applause stuttered to silence. Lila, my mother warned, but I was already moving toward the stage. Tell them, I said. Tell them where the money really came from. This isn't the time. It's exactly the time. I turned to face the crowd. That foundation money? It was stolen. Twice. First from my grandparents' trust fund, then from the artists they forced out of work. My father gripped the microphone. Security. Won't be necessary. Marcus emerged from the shadows, followed by dozens of others, my artists, each carrying their work. They lined the garden paths, silent testimonies to what had been destroyed. What is this? My mother hissed. This is your legacy, I said. Not porcelain. People. Desmond stepped forward, Fiona beside him. She's right. I've seen the documents, the real ones. Everything they're announcing tonight was built on theft. You ungrateful. My father started, but Desmond cut him off.
No, Dad.
We're not the ungrateful ones. He pulled out a folder. These are my resignation papers. And this, he held up a USB drive, is every email, every document showing how you systematically stripped Lila's inheritance and used it to manipulate us both. The crowd murmured. Phones appeared, recording everything. You're bluffing, my mother said, but her perfect mask was cracking. Am I? I nodded to Marcus, who projected images onto the garden wall. Emails, contracts, bank transfers. Grandma Eloise kept copies of everything. She was waiting for the right moment. My father lunged for the microphone, but his words died as another figure stepped forward. James Caldwell. The Caldwell family is withdrawing our merger offer, he announced. We don't partner with companies built on fraud. The garden erupted in chaos. Photographers' flashes exploded like lightning, capturing my parents' carefully constructed world crumbling in real time. You've destroyed everything, my mother whispered. No, I corrected her. I've exposed everything. There's a difference. Desmond took the stage. The engagement party is over, but something else is beginning. He turned to the artists. My first act as former CEO is to transfer the commercial rights of Merit Porcelain's traditional designs to their original creators. Effective immediately. My father's face went purple. You can't. Actually, he can. Fiona held up her phone. The board just voted. They're not interested in a scandal. I walked to Marcus, taking a piece of his work, a delicate tea set painted with scenes of rebellion hidden in classical designs. This is what real legacy looks like. Not control. Not manipulation. Art. The guests began to leave, their whispers building into a storm that would reshape everything. My parents stood frozen on their perfect stage, finally understanding what they'd lost. Come on, Desmond said, putting an arm around me. Let's go home. Home. He smiled. Grandma's making tea. We left our parents in their empty garden, surrounded by the ruins of their empire. Sometimes I realized the greatest revenge isn't destruction. It's creation. 1 year later, I stood in the renovated warehouse that had become Harper and Merritt Studios, watching Marcus teach a pottery class to aspiring artists. Sunlight streamed through the industrial windows, catching on the dust motes and making them dance like stars. Your grandfather would have loved this, Grandma Eloise said, joining me at the observation window. He always said art should be shared, not hoarded. I touched the envelope in my pocket, his final letter, discovered last week in a box of old business papers. I hadn't opened it yet, afraid of what truths it might contain. The board meeting went well, Desmond said, appearing with Fiona. Since starting their own consulting firm, they'd been helping us structure the studio as a cooperative. The artist's profit-sharing program is officially approved. And your parents? I asked. Still in Europe, he shrugged. Mother sends postcards sometimes, usually with passive-aggressive notes about family loyalty. At least they're consistent, Fiona said, making us laugh. A commotion at the front desk drew our attention. 2 familiar figures stood there, James Caldwell and his father, looking uncomfortable but determined. We'd like to commission a piece, the elder Caldwell said when I approached. For our company's centennial. Why us? James gestured at the student gallery. Because you're doing what we should have done years ago, letting artists own their work, their vision. I studied them. These men, who could have been my jailers in another life. I'll have Marcus show you his portfolio. Later, as the sun set over the city, I finally opened my grandfather's letter. His familiar handwriting blurred as I read. Dearest Lila, by the time you read this, you'll have either surrendered to your parents' vision or forged your own path. I pray it's the latter. Because I've seen the fire in you, the same fire your grandmother showed when she refused to let her family dictate her future. The trust fund was never about money. It was about choice. Your parents may have stolen the funds, but they couldn't steal what matters most, your spirit, your talent, your ability to see beauty in broken things and make them whole again. Remember this. True legacy isn't what we inherit, it's what we choose to build. All my love, Grandpa Walter. I folded the letter as Marcus's students filed out, their hands clay-stained and eyes bright with possibility. On the wall hung my latest piece, a porcelain phoenix rising from shattered teacups, each fragment telling part of our story. "Ready for the evening class?" Desmond asked, rolling up his sleeves. He'd started taking pottery lessons last month, claiming it helped him understand business better. Really, I think he just liked getting his hands dirty for once. Almost. I picked up a fresh block of clay, feeling its potential. Just thinking about legacy. And I think Grandpa was right. It's not what we inherit that matters. I smiled, watching new students file in, including some familiar faces from the old factory. It's what we choose to create. Speaking of creating, Fiona said, "We have news." She and Desmond exchanged glances. "We're expecting." I hugged them both, clay-covered hands and all. As we celebrated, I caught sight of my reflection in the studio window, not a rebel daughter or a perfect heiress, but something entirely new. Something of my own making. The evening light painted everything in shades of possibility, and somewhere I knew Grandpa Walter was smiling. Sometimes the most beautiful things come from broken pieces, remade not into what they were, but what they were always meant to be. I picked up my teaching smock and turned to my waiting students. Time to create something new.